Welcome to 1500ESPN.com. Derek Wetmore and Nate Sandell out here at the Target Center, where the Wolves just lay the hurt on the Brooklyn Nets. 111-81, a 30-point victory. The outcome never seemed in doubt after the first quarter. Return to Minnesota for KG, which he's done before, but this one felt a little bit different. Nate, you talked to Garnett in the locker room after the game. What was the mood?
You know, first of all, you got to feel almost embarrassed for the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah.
Just the Nets that we saw tonight, it was never close in this game. For the minute that this game tipped off, and it was a case in point how disheveled and a mess the Brooklyn Nets are right now. And Kevin Garnett really tried to vocalize that frustration, that building frustration that's happening within that team, talking about how he is so upset that this team needs to look themselves in the eyes or look themselves in the mirror, and it's gut check time. And that's something this early in the season. That's a warning sign, especially when you have a $180 million roster. As Garnett pointed out, we created this monster. Now we have to solve it, and that kind of just tells you where the Brooklyn Nets are right now. And tonight it was on display in full force.
Definitely. I mean, it's a veteran-laden team, and you mentioned they're expensive. They are missing some guys with injuries to Darren Williams. Andre Kirilenko didn't play tonight. But this team was so bad tonight that it was, like you mentioned, it was never really ever a competition. And the Wolves did what they absolutely needed to do. They destroyed a bad team on the first night of a back-to-back. Now the Wolves will travel to Houston. The starters got to rest for most of the fourth quarter, and they talked about how important that's going to be. What are you seeing from this team early in the season here that an effort like that can pick them up now going forward?
Really in the first quarter, even into the second quarter, it was more a case of Brooklyn playing so bad and the Wolves just doing enough to get by. I think even through most of the second quarter, they were shooting in the low 30s. But they picked it up, and they, like you said, they did what they needed to do in the second half to take full control of that game. There was a flagrant foul technical sequence on Kevin Garnett that really changed the game. I think it was a 6-7 point swing. And from that point on, Wolves really never let the Nets even remotely close. And I think that's something that the Wolves had to have. They had to have this game after losing to the Wizards, losing to the Clippers. Those were tough games to lose. You're in a stretch of 5 games in 7 days. You have to beat Brooklyn, going on the road now to Houston, Indiana. And they have to now, the key, we've been talking about it all year. It's sustaining the momentum. It's getting consistency out of some of the things they did well tonight. They have to be able to do that in back-to-back games, which has not always been their strong suit.
Well, and one of the things I really took away from this game was the maturity and evolution of Kevin Love. Kevin Garnett was face-guarding Love all night. He wouldn't let him touch the ball. Playing very physical, especially down low in the post. Anytime they got into the paint, it was a couple shoves, it was an elbow, and it was that one elbow that he got called on the flagrant for.
Questionable flagrant.
Sure, and Love could have responded and been chippy and thrown elbows back. Instead, he just deferred to his teammates. He facilitated the offense. He stepped back and hit shots when they were open. I think that showed the maturity and evolution of Kevin Love. What other things did you see out of the Wolves that stood out for you tonight in this frankly big, huge win over the Brooklyn Nets?
Love was also showing that maturity in the way he was talking to the reporters about that. Obviously, anytime Kevin Garnett comes back into town, a lot of hype, a lot of buzz, a lot of questions surround him about returning to the place that he spent 12 years of his career in. But Love just really handled those well. He didn't try to give them any bulletin board material, stayed away from a lot of the comparisons between him and Garnett, and gave Kevin Garnett his due, even joking with Kevin Martin tonight that he wouldn't want him to face Garnett in his prime.
No, he wouldn't.
And I think all of us would agree you wouldn't want to face Kevin Garnett in his prime. But again, the way that Kevin Love, especially after the way he played against the Clippers, getting real beat up by the Clippers inside, you wouldn't have expected him to have that type of game in back-to-back matchups, and he surely didn't. And that's what they need. They need to have Love getting the production that he did tonight on a consistent basis.
Yeah, you're right. The Wolves now, like I mentioned, they'll travel to Houston. They play back-to-back and catch a plane probably tonight, I believe.
They are catching a plane tonight.
Yeah, so 111-81 victory for the Wolves over the terrible Brooklyn Nets at the Target Center here, but still a nice win for the team to pick up. Keep checking back to 1500ESPN.com for Nate's coverage, and columnist Zach Harper breaks down the film too. For Nate Sandell, I'm Derek Wetmore, checking out from the Target Center.